We will now shift to the next chapter, that is placed features and assembly. When you start creating a model in Design Modeler, it involves a lot of features. These features can be sketched features or placed features. The placed features are those which require sketches before adding the feature, and placed features are those which do not require sketches before adding the feature. So let us understand how to add these placed features in Design Modeler. For understanding the placed features, I have already created one model. If you can see over here, we have already created this model. In this model, we have a hole which is there. Okay. Now I want to add some fillets over here. Now in Ansys Design Modeler, if you want to add a fillet, you need to use the tool Blend, and in Blend you have one option which is called as fixed radius. You can use this option to add a fillet. Now I'm selecting the fixed radius, and then you need to select the edges where you want to add the fillet. So I've selected these two edges, apply, and then you need to mention the radius of the fillet. So I'll write the radius value as 2, or let us say array, and we will say generate. So you can see that the blend has been added. Similarly, I want to add one more blend over here. I'll select the two edges, apply, and the fillet radius is 1. So this becomes one of the placed features. Similarly, I want to add a chamfer. I'll select the chamfer option. I'll select this edge, and I'll select this edge. And I'll write the fillet value as 0.1 and 0.1. Generate. So you can see there is a small chamfer that has been added over here. If you want to change the distance of the chamfer, select, we'll make it as 0.25 and 0.25, and we will say generate, so that the fillet adds up. Now that the fillet is added up, now let us understand how to create a pattern feature in Ansys Design Modeler. Now you can see that there is one hole which has already been added. So for creating a pattern, go to the create option in the main menu bar and select the pattern option from here. Now in pattern type, you have 3 types, that is a linear pattern, circular pattern, and a rectangular pattern. Now in this case, I need to use a circular pattern. Circular pattern is where you will be copying a geometry about an axis in a circular manner. If you select linear pattern is if you want to repeat the feature in only one linear direction. But if you select a rectangular pattern can be used to create a pattern feature where you can repeat the geometry in x and y directions. First, let us understand how to create a circular pattern. The geometry to be patterned is this face. So I make sure that in my selection filter, I have selected the faces. I'll select this face over here and this face over here. Use your control key to select multiple faces. I'll say apply, and then you have to select the axis. So for selecting the axis, select any one plane from here. Now if I select XY plane, the axes are coming in this direction and this direction. I'll go for XZ plane. So I can see there is one axis over here, and this axis I have it in the center. So I will select this axis and I will say apply. I need evenly spaced objects. So how many objects do you need evenly? So in the entire 360 degrees of revolution, I need 2 more copies. One is there, I need 2 more, so that total becomes 3, and I will say generate. So you will see that the pattern has been created. So these are some of the placed features that we can add in Ansys Workbench Design Modeler, that is fixed radius, and we can also add chamfer. After this, we will see how to create an assembly. So for creating the assembly, this is we have already created. Now we will be creating this assembly that you see on your screen in our Ansys Design Modeler interface. So let us start creating this assembly. Let me add the geometry. Let us enter into a geometry. Set your unit system I am setting my unit system as millimeter, and now we will start creating the assembly. So first I need to select my sketching plane and I need to add my sketch. So I've selected the XY plane and I've entered into the sketching tab. I'll use my circle tool and create my circle. I'll give dimension. The diameter value for this circle is 180. Okay. I'll come back to the modeling option and we will use extrude option to add material to this. So I need to add material and the depth value is 20 and generate. So this is my first feature. Now I'm selecting this face and I'll go into the sketching tab again. And over here I create one circle . I give the diameter value to this. The diameter value of this circle is 14.5 and the distance is 30, 35 and the distance from here to here is 15. I'll exit and now again I'll go into extrude, but this time I want to say that this is cut material and the depth of this cut material is 8 units and I'll say generate. Now I'll select this face over here and again I will enter into the sketching tab and here I will create one more circle whose dimension of value is diameter is 10. Come back to the modeling tab. We'll go into extrude again. I'll say this is again cut material and it is through all. Generate. Okay, so we have got this hole. Now in this case I need to create a pattern of this hole again. Now we will go into the pattern option. I'll select the pattern. For creating the pattern, I'll select these faces over here. See what faces I've selected. That is my geometry. And in this case, I'm going to select it as a rectangular pattern. Direction, the first direction is this. Change the arrow direction. You can swap the arrow direction from here. And the offset distance is 70 units. After that, I need to select the second direction. So second direction is this. I'll swap the direction and the dimension is 30. I need 2 copy and here also I need 2 copies and we will say generate. So can you see that the pattern is created? The distance between this two is 70 and the distance between this two is 30. So this is my first model that has been created. After this, if you want to rename the models, you can also rename them. I can say right click and rename. I will call this as my base plate. Next, I need to create the second model. So now the second model is a bolt. So I have selected this face and I make sure that I say it is a new sketch. I'll click on sketch 4 and then I will enter into the sketching tab. Here I've created a circle over here. I'll give the dimensions and the dimension value again is 14.5 diameter. We'll come back to the modeling tab and now I will go into extrude option I have to say that this is add frozen. Whenever you want to add this as a separate body, make sure you're selecting add frozen. So add frozen you can use to add a new body to your part. So I've selected this. Direction I will say is reversed and the depth is 8. We'll say generate. You will see that another model has been added. Now if you want, you can hide this body so that you can only see this. Again I'll select this face over here and I will go into sketching tab. Now here I create another circle whose dimension is 10. We will come into extrude, apply. Now here when we are selecting this, I will make sure again it is add frozen over here. The depth is 20, directions, and we will say generate again. So now you see that this is getting added as a third body, but this body has to be added over here. So now I will go into create Boolean operation and I have to say that the two bodies have to be united. Now what are the two bodies that you need to unite? So I will select this body, control and the second body, and I will say apply. The two bodies have got selected and we will say generate. So this is my bolt. I can also rename it and say this is my bolt. You can unhide your body. So you can see that the body has been added up. Again you can go for pattern option, and here I again want to create a rectangular pattern. The geometry is this bolt. I am selecting a body for pattern. Direction, first direction is this. Swap the direction, apply, and the distance between is 30. I need 2 copies, and the second direction is this, and here I need 70. You've got 2 bodies. I will reduce this as 1 and this is 1. So you can see now the bolts have been patterned and you've got 4 bolts. Okay, next I come back to my base plate and I'm going to create another hole in this. I have added a new sketch on plane number 4, that is sketch 7. Select sketch 7 and go into the sketching tab. I'm going to create another hole over here whose diameter is 38. And we will come back into the modeling tab. I will say this is extrude and I want to say that it is going to be cut material and the depth is through all generate. Okay, fine. So now currently I have 5 parts over here in my assembly. Now I want to add another part. For that I will come into the ZX plane and I will enter into the sketching tab. And now over here I'm going to use a polyline and create my sketch. I'll say closed ended. Now I'll start giving my dimensions. Okay, so this is 80, H3 is 20, this over here is 21, and this is 19. and I will give one more dimension, that is distance between this and this, that is 50 units. I will make this as a horizontal line, sorry, in this direction it is going to be a vertical line, and now I will give this distance as 50 units, or maybe 35. And now we will enter into modeling, and I will say that it has to be revolved. So the sketch to be revolved is this, axis is this, and it is going to be add frozen generate. So that gets added as another body over here, and I'll call this as circular shaft. Now you can add another features what you want to add over here. So I'm going to add a chamfer on this, whatever distances you want. Next I'm going to add another feature. I'll enter into the sketching tab. I select a rectangular tool and I draw this rectangle. After drawing this rectangle, we will give the dimensions. I'll give the distance between this and this. So this value over here is 5 units. This is 15. Let us say this is 18. 16 units. And this total is 30. And after that, I'll add a symmetric constraint over here. Okay. After that, I'll come into my modify option again. Copy. We are going to copy this. Right click, set paste handle. Copy all the 4. Set paste handle as the center point, and I'll say flip vertically. Next we will come out in the modeling tab, and we will again go to extrude, add frozen. Okay, so these are the 2 bodies that we've added. After that, I will again go into the Boolean operations, and here this time I will say it has to be subtracted. So target body is this, and the tools that we have to subtract are these 2 bodies. So use your control key. So that is my second object. Okay, so like this you can create your entire assembly. Now if you see that the bodies are looking like transparent, so you can come to view option and say frozen body transparency should be off. So now you can see all your bodies. So this is how you will create your assembly in Ansys Workbench design mode.